What's good, bro? So I thought I would do this video because this new brand of ours has just hit one of its first 1K days. Let's give it a little refresh so you can see. Pretty nice, pretty tidy. But we didn't get here by luck. We didn't get here by throwing spaghetti at a wall. We got here through our systems, our strategies, and everything we have in place. So if you're looking to get to your first 1K days on your store, right, that first 1K day brings immense validation to the product. And if you haven't done it already, it brings a huge mindset shift. It makes you realize that it's possible for you, right, for you to do this, for you to see these dashboards, for you to see these numbers. So the strategies I'm about to share with you are at the core of our 7-figure brands on Shopify. They're the reason that we can launch products and we can get them to 1K days. We can get them to 10K days, 50K days, 100K days. This is what we do day in, day out. This is our bread and butter job. So the first roadblock you probably have, bro, is your product research. It's a huge crux everyone has. So I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. So for my product research, I go to where the products already are and where they're already being validated. So for example, if they are on TikTok, but they are not on Meta, this is huge. So what I do is I do the brain dead scroll method. So I create a new TikTok account, right, on my phone, and I just scroll. I scroll. And when I find a product on the For You page that is being drop shipped, I interact with it, I give it a like, I give it a comment, I follow the page, and then I close it for like 30 minutes. Then I go back onto it, and again, I scroll some more, and hopefully I'm getting pushed more dropship videos and products, right? And I interact. And when all you're seeing is dropshipped videos, that's when you limit your interactions. Don't keep interacting with the same kind of products, otherwise you're only going to be showing them and the scope is not going to be much greater than that. So that's kind of my TikTok method, right, for burner accounts. Super straightforward, and then I just essentially do that on repeat. But I'm also browsing IG, Facebook, and sometimes even X. Okay, ignore my handwriting. I know it's terrible, but I hope you get the picture. I'm working on it. And I will browse. Now, what I ideally want, depending on the strategy you're going to follow, is if it's on Meta ads, then I can't run Meta ads. As in, the bidding's going to be far too high, the competition's going to be far too high, they're going to be established, unless I come in with totally fresh content, offers, and angles. If I can do that, then I can compete against these people already on Meta. If I have to go and reuse content, I can't compete against them on their own battlefield. That's when it's ideally not realistic for me to go after that product. Oh, I'm just going to be wasting money against an established seller. They're just going to be outbidding me. They're just going to know the customer profile, and Meta's not going to like it. They know this content is duplicated. They know this content has already been on the platform. And what is it going to lead to? The fucking ban hammer coming down on you. Well, it's not. It's just going to come to you losing a load of cash. So that's essentially the Meta ads. That's essentially the product research methods I will use in terms of validating. I only primarily use Meta ads with my team. So if it's already on Meta ads and we have to scrape the content, we have to, rip content, then I'm not going to be doing that against someone already doing numbers on Meta ads. So that's why the TikTok method works well. Because then you find content that's on TikTok, it's not on Meta, it's not on Instagram, and then you can go on and you can do all your editing trickery. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but there's so much source you can do on that and getting it running well on Meta. We also like getting, right, UGC straight from the start, and that does not just mean creators. So you can get it to creators, but ideally, if you have a team, one of your boys should know how to, self-make content. If you can make your own content that's going to bang, you're in an absolute powerful money-making position. So this is essentially the framework I follow before anything else is done. I brain dead scroll and I find products on TikTok. This is the method I mainly use because of the ad strategy we implement. A lot of people use Cola data. A lot of people do stuff like that. Not a huge fan. Have found some good products on there, but I prefer this because then you can be like first eyes on and you can find those unicorns that other people are not picking up. Then again, that is the content strategy. If you want more information on the creative side of meta ads, leave a comment. If you want more information on actually structuring your campaigns, leave a comment. I can do that. Now, we think we found a problem. We think we found a product, but now we need to go through certain checklists, right? So first of all, it needs to solve a problem. Simple, right? Everyone always says solve a problem. This is because of angles and offers and upsells, cross sells. I have always been a terrible handwriter, but because I'm saying the words at the same time, I hope it is a little bit more understandable and a little bit more engaging. So please don't rip me to shreds, right? Especially when I'm doing this on a mouse and not an iPad. So that's one of the things I like about solving problems. Yes, number one is the angles. It is much easier to get your creatives going and test a whole different bunch of angles, and then you can split test your offers. Now, something else I also look for is MRR, monthly recurring revenue. So these are subscriptions. And how I know it's terrible. So what kind of products have subscriptions? Well, consumable products have subscriptions, which is why supplements do well. I don't do supplements. I do a lot of other things that are consumable, usable, and a need for more regularly, right? And they just mean you can just rip, right? Imagine if you're a Q4 only brand, right? Your Q4 only brand is your Q4 only product, right? But the product is year long. You just have most sales in Q4 and you're running MRR, okay? So you're doing, 500, 600, 1,000 orders a day, right? And your take rate on MRR, let's say, is pretty low. Say it's like 20, 25%. Then depending on the product, that is, obviously, if it makes absolute sense to get into MRR on the product, then yeah, 20% is going to be pretty good, right? So 200 orders a day are going to be hooking up to your MRR, depending on then what the product is, your price points, and the lifetime of the subscription means that your January, February, March can potentially just be still steamrolling ahead from MRR, 3 months extra lifespan, 3 months extra revenue, where otherwise you wouldn't have been able to run the store, right? So we also want a big TAM, and we also want no shipping nightmares. I don't know why I made this one so long. I could have just said something easier than all of that. What I mean is, small. It's not a table. It's not a kitchen sink. It's super easy to get to the customer. It's small box, small packaging. It does not weigh much. It's not going to break in transit. It's not going to be filled with all these different issues and getting smashed up to pieces, right? Now, one of the last things I look for is the wow factor, the scroll stopper. I want my videos, my statics, my creatives someone to go, oh wow, and maybe they scroll past it, but it intrigues them, and then they scroll back to it, right? Or they just get stopped on it. It looks like it's so natural on the platform that they don't realize it's an ad until it's too late. Then finally, like we spoke about before, with the browsing on TikTok, finding content, not having it on meta ads already, bringing it over to meta ads, I want there to be content already to get this stuff off the ground. I look for an MVP, a minimal viable product. Okay, so I want my frictionless setup. Okay, I want it to be so easy to get things going off the ground. Now, once it starts doing well, that's when you 100% invest in your own content. But remember, If we can start with self-made content, then we don't need to worry about that too much. Okay, we can have our supplier send it to us. We can get it in 5 days. We can get our content. Other things we can rip, but you just don't want a DMCA, right? So now we briefly mentioned it before. We found a good product. We found it's met all our criteria. We've got content. Now, one of the most important things you need to do is test your angles and offers. So your angles are, who's it for? So say you were selling chopping boards. Okay, I did a video on this the other day. So say you're selling chopping boards. I know that doesn't look like a knife, but whatever, right? So obviously we want, chefs, not proper chefs, but, kitchen people who like to cook. Then what else we can do? Well, we can do parents. It can be gifts, parents, and then you can go into grandparents, right? Parents, and then it's gifts. But now we're going to do a pivot on it. We're going to make all our chopping board designs, religious. So it's going to be like Jesus. Okay. Now they're going to be graduation. I can just put grad. Or it's going to be for people that do barbecues. Or long distance relationships, right? So now this one product here can be potentially sold to all of these different people through the angle, right? So now we are hitting pain points that chefs and home cooks realistically have. People that want to make their kitchen look better, parents, so it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, birthdays, right? Grandparents, the same again, but just slightly different targeting. Gifts in general, siblings, friends, partners, spouses. Now it's people that are religious. So we do Jesus designs, right? Religious quotes and stuff on our Bible passages. I can't remember what that was. Terrible. Barbecue. So it's like King of the Grill and stuff. Long distance relationships. Right? We're just finding out whatever we can. Now we have our offers. This is huge. So we want to be split testing these constantly. A/B testing, right? So maybe we do BOGO. Buy one, get one, right? Buy two, get one free. Buy one, get, cleaning kit. Buy 3, get 1 free. Whatever works best, right? Simple as that. Quantity discounts, QDs, okay? You buy 2, you get 25% extra off. Can we put in free gifts into it? An essential kit. With this type of kitchen product, right, these gifts are super cool because you have those like choppers that go viral on like TikTok. That says shoppers, but it is a C, right? Those ones where you put the fruit and veg in and you're going like that. Yeah. Now to run these offers, we need to know what our break even is. What is our break even after everything is said and done? So that is, how much is the product cost? Okay. How much are you going to sell it for? What ROAS do you need to be profitable? Okay, we can do that by using a calculator. So we go to our supplier, we go, right, what's the COGS of this? And they say, okay, to the US, it's going to be $10. Okay, now we're going to sell it for $20. Cool. So we have $10 of profit in there. That then means we need to be able to get our CPA for less than $10. Not really too easy to do. Okay, so we need to be realistic. We'd need to probably sell this product for like $39, right? And then with the discounts and the upsells and the gifts, what does our total COGS come to? Because it's not going to be coming to $10 anymore. It could potentially be coming to $15, right? So now our COGS is $15. We're selling it for $40. So we have $25 left in to play. Yeah, you can maybe get a sale for $25, bang on, but you're not going to make any profit. So you have to know your numbers. You have to know the math behind it. And you can't price yourself too high. You can't price your own product out of the game. Otherwise, guess what? It's just not going to sell. You're not going to make any money anyway. So a good way to get started with this is, what are your competitors doing? Right? What kind of offers are your competitors running? What price points are they running at? Are you able to beat your competitors? Are you able to get your sourcing a bit cheaper? Okay, how can we get our sourcing a bit cheaper? You can build up your relationships with your suppliers. If you need a supplier, join Etsy Mafia, discord.gg/Etsy. There's some in there completely free, meaning you just get started with the supplier and pay them whatever the COGS totals are of your orders. So you can use your competitors, leverage them, leverage the data they have if they're successful at selling it at a certain price point. Going back to the suppliers, if you need to get cheaper, try and get slower shipping options. Try and get your supplier to find different factories, and everything like that, right? So we're testing our offer. We're doing our A/B testing. Now our A is always going to be our primary offer. Our B is always going to be our test. Eventually we can do C and D, right? But do we have enough visits to actually make this test worthwhile? When you're a beginner, you're not going to have enough daily visits on your store and traffic coming in. So just stick to A and B. You have your primary offer, which is, the one doing the best. So, our A offer might just be a BOGO, right? We might just have some sort of buy two, get 50% off of the third one, whatever. And that's the one we've seen the data on. That has the highest conversion rate, and that is the highest revenue per customer, right? Per visit, sorry. Revenue per visit. One of the best metrics you can use to track your store. So A is always the offer that's leading the way. If then we do test B and we're just doing a free gift, right? Something for free in the order, and then that happens to be A over a decent period of time, then B becomes our A, and then we try something new on B. If that makes sense, okay? And then again, when you get more visits, more traffic coming to your site, more spend because things are going well, that's when you still keep testing more offers and see what is going. Now, let's talk a little bit more about our ads, because we have our product, we have our offer, knowing that, we think we can get decent conversions with this, right? But obviously ads are going to drive the traffic to test our offers. Anyway, so first things first, if you are considering renting some sort of business manager, some sort of BM, don't. Just build your own, because that is such valuable real estate. And as a beginner, you're not going to be putting huge spend through it anyway, so you can deal with those daily spend limits, right? And whilst you're scaling, do it across a few different BMs so you can, different ad accounts so you can increase the spend across them. But please don't go renting BMs. Don't go doing any of this LARP. Just do it all on your own. Own your assets, right? If you have kind of technical issues later on down the line, then sure, right? So first things first, the platform you're going to run ads on. Now we always use Meta, but you can use TikTok and Google, right? Now I always find Google is more for long, brands that have kind of been established, brands that have not been established as such, but you've got the track record, you've got the data, you've got the orders, the product's a banger, and then you can go off there by doing like branded campaigns, making sure that you're capitalizing on any kind of traffic that's coming in outside of your ads, so people are finding the correct site, and then working with Google shopping campaigns and stuff like that. But that gets all a bit later on. Now TikTok, I find creative fatigue and burnout is a lot harder to manage than on Meta. Meta, the lifespan of your creatives is a lot longer, and I find just more easy to test. We don't really get into TikTok too much across our brands. Definitely something we're going to be going into more. But for me, if you want to learn from me, just follow me with Meta, and I promise I will take you places where you want to be. Now, the next thing you need to structure is the next thing you want to worry about is your ad structure, ABOs, CBOs, whatever, however you're going to be structuring your ads. not going to be going too much into that in this video because I'm going to be here all day otherwise. But if you do need help with the structure of your ads, join Etsy Mafia. You can ask in there, message me on Instagram. It's all in the description. I'm more than willing to help you out. Now we have creatives. And what I mean by this is images or videos, right? Are you going to be having static images, as in an image that's purely an image, or are you going to be doing some kind of editing and doing a nice video, putting it together? You've got content, right? If you don't have much content out there, you can't do your own UGC at the start. Statics is a great way to go, especially with the power of AI now. You can basically whip up high production level designs insanely quick, right? Then once you've got proof of concept with statics, you can move into videos. Now, if you are doing videos, you could be the best editor in the world, but if you can't worry about the hook, I don't know what I'm doing either, guys. I have no idea. The hook in the first 3 seconds to get that person engaged, and understand that the person watching this ad might not have audio on. So your hook has to both be visually and audio, nice. What's a good word? I can't think, I'm too tired. Right, so it has to both be audio and visually appealing, right? They have to be engaged by it. If you can't do that in the first 3 seconds, then you've lost them. No matter how great the video is after that, you're just not really going to get the full power of that ad, right? It's just going to get skipped. Now we talk about budgets. This is how much money you're going to be spending a day, right? So maybe you only have $50 or $100 to spend a day. Maybe you only have 10. If you do, don't start doing Shopify paid ads. At the start, this bit's a little bit tricky, but the budget you give has to be divisible by your CPA. So if your CPA, let's say, is $25 and you're giving a $20 a day budget, then it's not gonna meet its CPA, so it's not gonna be able to get that purchase, right? If you're doing $100 a day and your CPA is $30, then it's going to be free sales, then you're at 90, then $10 is going to get spunked, then the next day it's all going to be off the rip. So you can kind of guess what your CPA is at the start. Once you get a bit better, you'll be able to do that based on the cost of your product. So please use a divisible thing. So if it was 30, right, 30, 60, 90, 120, I'd be going for like $140 a day. Give it $20 extra room. And then even at that point, you're still kind of not happy, because then you could say, well, go up a bit more and you'll get another sale, right? But that's just playing it safe, testing a product, trying to figure out what your CPA is. Now we're going to talk about increasing the budgets, okay? Now, obviously with increases, it still needs to be in line with your CPA and divisible. There's no real reason why after a couple of days of testing a budget, if it's going well, you increase it, and you kind of just get the feel for increasing it. Don't cause too much of a massive increase on it. You can do gradual increases. It gets super tricky. Budget increasing is a bit of a nightmare. Sometimes it can really nuke things, but again, it's hard to actually break down all of the math involved and whatnot. It's like riding a bike. Once you know how to ride a bike, then you can ride a bike, but until then you can't really do it. You have to get the feel of it, right? So once we start increasing our budgets, then we increase creative volume. So what I mean by this is, okay, are we running the images or videos? If so, okay, which hooks? I'm terrible at drawing, bro. The hooks, right? Which hooks are doing well? Okay, so I have a static here that's getting most of my sales. It's doing really well. It's outperforming all the others. So what I want to do now is, let me redo that. I'm maybe embarrassed by that. 5 times same image, right? So what I'm doing here is the image is staying the same. I'm playing around with the text variations of the on the static, right? And then I'm also going to do 5x same text. So here it's going to be 5 with the same image as the winner, but the text is going to be different. Then I'm going to do 5 more where the text is the same, but the image is different, right? So whatever else is happening in the image other than text, I'm going to change. Whatever else is happening in the image that's text related, I'm going to change, and I'm going to stay on hook, right? So whatever the hook is, whatever the angle is, that is where I'm going to stay, and I'm going to test more creatives. Ideally, you want to be increasing your creative volume every single week, not letting it, getting any kind of fatigue. When it comes to the structure behind this, again, more complicated. I can't do that in this video, right? And that is essentially how then you will be increasing creative volume in the areas that are making you money. Now, some quick pointers with your site. This is, your Shopify store, essentially. Right, so obviously we're going to need a domain. I always go for branded stores, so I want a nice branded domain. It doesn't always have to be .com. If you're doing a lot of testing, .com domains at £10 each can add up. So, you can just go down other routes. I do like .com domains. They do seem to just work the best for the brand image. In terms of ads, whatever TLD is, it doesn't really matter. Now, the most important thing I worry about on the site is images. And once things start to actually do decent, I go straight into getting renders. Product renders done by very talented designers, spending like $500 on them. And maybe you can do render videos too, breaking down each aspect of the product, right? It makes the site look super, super clean. Now, a thing a lot of people miss is the homepage, right? A lot of people will go to your homepage, see what else is on your website to get an understanding of you. I go on a lot of sites and the homepage is still filled with shrine templates that have no images, right? Or just some Shopify basic template that's got no assets inside. It really matters. Talking about assets, we want custom ones. We want to be building our own little factory and library of custom liquids. Now, super easy to do. A while ago, you had to be an expert at coding to do these, but now AI does it all for you. A lot of good custom liquids out there. Build your own and you're going to have a really brandable site. If you don't know what kind of liquids to start with, go on your competitors, see what they're focusing on, see what they're doing, and build them. There's also no need to spend big money on a paid theme, right? You can use just basic Dawn theme, Sense, Refresh theme, get going with them. You're going to be good to go. Keep your money for ads. That is the number one thing you can do. And again, analyze your competitors' sites. See where they are putting the focus, right? Now, a metric I talked about earlier that a lot of people don't track is revenue per visit, right? So this is how much money you're making out of every single visitor on the site. The higher it is, the more money you're making, and you want to be split testing different site layouts, different placements and stuff to see which lead to the highest revenue per visit. Now, something that you could do with this is up in your product information section, you can have your top FAQs, the questions that people have that are really putting them after a purchase. And for you to figure that out, you need to test which FAQs work the best up here, which FAQs are leading to the best conversions and the highest revenue per visitor metric. Now, a super quick one, but your purpose. What is your purpose behind this product, this store, this setup? Is it a brand that you want to run for a long time? Or is it pump and dump, right? Now, it is important to not get attached to anything you run right? Unless it's doing insane numbers. And even if your store is doing insane numbers, it can still die and dip off. And the important thing is you're not attached, right? If you're building up brand assets and looking for exits, then you can get more attached and really work on increasing the health and the lifespan of that store because you want to sell it, right? So my purpose behind every store I run is more of the branded route. But until I see kind of success and, you know, money coming in from this product, you can't be attached. You have to know when to turn things off, when to give it a miss, and just get back to the drawing board and do the whole process again. Now, I talked about this before, but we're going to talk about, you know, upsells, cross sells, post purchase, increase that AOV, right? If the higher you can get your AOV, the more money you make, the higher you can have your cost per acquisition, right? Meaning that you can give Facebook more leeway and you're still going to make money, right? So first thing I do is, so your site, maybe you only have one main product, right? But then what we want to do is, coming off this, maybe we then have 3 sub products. And these are products that complement the first product in some sort of way, but they are just an additional extra. And this can be done on your like nav bar, right? So let me get that up. So you have like home, that's ease massive. Then we have like the main product, and then we have collection. Then obviously you're going to have like all your other stuff, whatever, but this just gives people a simple way to see the rest of the thing and the main product they know. You also want to be pushing this collection as upsells on your product page. All right, just a basic, you know, you can do a little toggle, whatever, little title there, little description, whatever. Now, so 1 or 2 of these products can be there. Then we have our cart upsells, right? Checkout there, main product there. Then we have like a little line, and then we have upsells and stuff there, and we've got some text up there, right? And then we can also have post purchase. So they've bought, they've post purchase, now they've paid. Now if you use like after sell, after they've paid, they see your product, woo, whatever, and now all they need to do is just press this tiny little button here. Their card details are saved and they're going to buy, but they've got a big discount on these post purchase, right? So anything to increase our AOV is what we are looking for. It keeps us in the game. Again, like I mentioned before, is there some sort of MRR we can push here, right? Maybe our main product isn't MRR, but can we push other products that are MRR? Then something that won't increase AOV, but it will increase your lifetime value of a customer, right, is Klaviyo. Blasting out emails. So we want a welcome flow. This is for any email you get on the site that isn't a purchase. Then we get abandoned, and then we get PP, post purchase. So with welcome, we are introducing people to the brand, telling them more about us, building their trust. Abandoned, they, you know, why did they not buy? Was it, you know, price point, whatnot? And we're just causing absolute fucking mayhem with our abandoned carts. They're getting loads of emails from us, loads of different discounts, little offers, little cross sells, upsells, free gifts, sending them to different landing pages with different products. Do you know what I mean? Like everything going out. Then post purchase, we have 2 different breakdowns for this. We have post purchase, that's kind of telling them more about the brand, the products, what can be done, then giving them more discounts. And then we want to give them some sort of tracking emails too. So we want to give them a nice way for them to track it on our site and keep them updated along the way until it gets delivered. Once it gets delivered, we're going to be reaching out to them, asking for photos, asking for reviews, asking for follows on social medias, you know, not all at once, but you get the idea. Now, just to finish up here, the most important metrics are your rev per AOV and your rev per visitor, right? Your RPV. Okay, these are the 2. Now, people talk about CVR, but CVR is so skewed nowadays, right? You're getting repeat customers coming back to the site. you're getting a lot of bot traffic, right? You're getting all these different kind of leads coming to the site that had maybe no purpose of being, into that category of a visit with potential of sales, right? They weren't coming on to buy anything. They were coming on to see where their order is. It was meta because you just put out 50 new creatives and you had 50 new visits on the site. So your CVR is always going to be very skewed. These are the ones that you go after. Your AOV is super important early on. That keeps you in the game. Once you've established a good AOV, you then go to your RPV, right? And you do whatever you can to increase that with your offers, okay? With your split testing, whatever it is, any layouts on the site. So guys, I hope this video has helped you. I hope it's given you a good little flow to go through and keep you, loving Shopify, getting you to that 1K day. It might seem like a lot you have to consider, but I promise you, as you go and as you progress, everything becomes second nature. You understand it like the back of your hand. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I did mention a few that I could do throughout. But yeah, guys, follow me on Instagram, join Etsy Mafia. I look forward to hearing from you, bro. I look forward to speaking to you maybe in the DMs, and have a great day.